Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, my ongoing series where I review and watch every single Doctor Who episode from the dawn of time all the way to the end of the universe. And now I'm here to talk about the first season finale of Doctor Who, The Reign of Terror. Honestly, season 1 is one of my favorite Doctor Who seasons of all time. It's really just a stellar S tier season with very, very few negatives. This episode is one that I really couldn't care less about. It's another historical one. It's all about the French Revolution, and this honestly has nothing to do with the fact that two of the six parts of the six-part serial are missing. It really has nothing to do with that. It's just this episode really does drag for a lot of it. It's really boring, in my opinion. And it really doesn't much pick up until very, very late in the final episode, which I will talk about because there's a lot to unpack with that final one. But for the most part, here's some positives about this episode. I really, really do appreciate that this is the first Doctor Who episode that was filmed outside of a studio. That's a really positive thing. It wasn't filmed entirely outside of the studio, but there are a lot of scenes taking place outdoors, especially when the Doctor is making that long 12-mile walk from where the TARDIS landed all the way to Paris. And I really did appreciate that scene where he's freeing all those guys who were working for that tax-taking slave driver or whatever his name is. And first of all, the first episode of this six-part serial, it really does open with a bang. Like, this is one way to set up a season finale, or rather to open a season finale of Doctor Who. Separate the crew from the TARDIS completely by several miles, and have the Doctor being placed in a burning building, and that's how you end the first part of the serial. Perfect way to start the episode. Then the rest of it, really, like I said, it drags on. What's his face? Robespierre, the villain. Really, really underwhelming. You barely see any of him. The jailer is really one-dimensional and one note. Wasn't really much of a big fan of the character Lamet, I think his name is. And those other people who saved them, there really wasn't much build-up to those characters. They just saved Barbara and Susan, and later in the story Ian. They just saved them for no apparent reason. The storyline with the clothes shop owner that then eventually turns on the Doctor and turns him in, that takes a very long time to brew, if you catch my meaning. This episode really does take its time a lot, and not in a good way. And this is why one of the main reasons I'm not really a big fan of this episode. It's really boring for a lot of it. It really just drags on, filled with a lot of story plots that are very disjointed and disconnected to one another. One of the positives I will say about this episode is that it really hammers home the point of the reign of terror. It really does put you in the shoes of a person living in that time of the French Revolution, where people just turned on their neighbors, did what they needed to, what they felt they needed to survive, setting up brother against brother in a conflict to try and save the values that they believed in. That aspect of the episode, I think, was really well made. But like I said, the episode itself really doesn't pick up much until the final episode, where all is revealed that this guy Lamet was actually secretly James Sterling the whole time. And as big of an important reveal as it is, that James Sterling storyline was really like very loosely threaded and loosely connected all throughout the six-part serials. Sorry, the six parts of the serial. And like I said, really only got relevant towards the end. Once the final episode of the serial is easily my favorite of the six, and it's finally it makes the whole serial worth watching, if you catch my meaning. And obviously, Napoleon shows up at the end of the serial, and there's really good historical stuff happening there. If you're a fan of that particular period of history, this final part of the serial is for you. But yeah, this episode, while it does manage to convey the sense of desperation that the people used to live in back then, it really doesn't, at least in my opinion, at least the way I see it, it didn't have that sense of ominous danger about it that some of the other Doctor Who serials have had. And again, that's just for me. The one really main danger of it is, as I mentioned earlier, being separated from the TARDIS by several miles, and the Doctor being trapped in the burning building, and maybe Ian being chained up by that one guy that I can't even remember his name, Jules, I think, who tries to torture Ian for information. And even then, he doesn't really do much. Again, that was part of the missing section of the episode, and that I did watch the animated version for this rewatch. There really isn't that much to go on in those two episodes. Yeah, it feels like a very bland episode, serial I should say, right up until the finale, the final part of the 6-part serial, where it actually does really pick up. And I love the bar scene with Ian and Barbara undercover, and Napoleon, and what's his face getting shot in the jaw, and history taking its place. And the final scene of the TARDIS was really good, and the way they chose to end the episode, the Doctor giving a speech in a star background, I feel is very inspiring, and one of the many reasons why it's one of my favorite shows of all time. It's the Doctor always being that source of inspiration for humanity. In any case, like I said, not much to say about this episode. It was very boring and bland for the most of it, but the first and final parts were actually really engaging for me. So that's really it. And as far as the whole season, as a full season overall, really solid first season, like I said, aside from the final one, which I really couldn't care less about. And I loved that we see by the end of, or rather at the beginning of the Sensorite episode, and by the end of this episode in particular, how much these characters have grown during their time traveling with the Doctor, and how much the Doctor has become a much different character from where we first see him in 100,000 BC and in the Daleks episodes. He really has grown much as a character, less insufferable, much more lovable, much more patient, much more accepting of other people's ideas. For those reasons alone, it's one of my favorite seasons of Doctor Who, and thankfully I've got one more season to go start watching, so I better start doing that right now and go review some more Doctor Who episodes for this channel. Now, I do have to once again be transparent. I have recorded all the reviews for the first season, but as of this moment, as of the recording of this video, my internet's down. I can't exactly upload any of these right now, so for the most part, these reviews are just going to sit on the shelf for a while, and let me just edit them, and then I'll upload them once I get some my internet back in place. So yeah, that's really all I can say for now. So thank you for watching up until this point if you have, and stay tuned for season 2, because things are only going to get bigger and better from here on out. So thank you all for watching, and goodbye.
Hi there! Thank you for watching the video, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.